Welcome to the Hormone Reset Club tech tutorial. Today's lesson is going to talk about the Hormone Macro Code Calculator. It is an Excel file or a Google Sheets file. This video is not to teach you how to use Excel or how to use Google Sheets. It is to go over how to use the actual tabs in the file. So if you have Microsoft Office, this works best in Excel, and you download the Excel version. If you do not have Microsoft Office, you use the free Google Sheets version, in which case you need to have a Google Gmail account. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about the protein range chart. You're going to locate your ideal realistic weight range. Be realistic. You know, don't try to drop your weight down to your high school weight. At least not in the beginning. And due to muscle mass, muscle growth, you may never be able to get down to your high school weight because you have more muscle than you had in high school. So, locate your ideal realistic weight range. Example, I weigh 200 pounds, but I know that I felt my best when I weighed 165. So what I'm going to do, oops, did not mean to do that. There we go. What I'm going to do is locate my ideal weight, 165, on the protein chart. And next to it, it gives me my protein gram range. Now, this is definitely for the cleanse, but your protein range is your protein range throughout most of the program. It will change as you start to fine-tune and hone in order to sculpt better. Then you will utilize different numbers. But for right now, we're going to focus on the 106 to 143. That means at minimum you need to get in 106 grams. For maximum efficiency, you can intake 143 grams. Now remember that number, 106, because you're going to move over to the next tab, Cleanse Macros. Click on the tab. And then you've got your reminder. This is a protocol, not a lifestyle. It should be followed for 14 days up to no more than 6 weeks. You are not removing any important macronutrients, just adjusting the ratios you consume. You are omitting top inflammatory foods. So your caloric range should be anywhere between 1,200 and 1,500 calories. And the actual caloric amount for your body will be calculated below. As an example, a person over 225 pounds will have a caloric amount greater than 1,500. Now, our protein amount we said was 106. You're going to enter it in the pink box. And when that happens, there are calculations all throughout. You get your protein calories is 424. Your fat and your carbs are set. They are specific. You get 70 grams of fat and 80 grams of carbs during the cleanse phase, which equates to 630 calories of fat and 320 calories of carbs, for a total caloric content of 1374. So if you meet your macros, you automatically meet your calories. Now, the advantage of the Excel version is things have been set up, security has been set up, and data checking has been put in place. So notice, I cannot make any changes to any of these cells. When I try to make a change, I get an error message. The cell or chart you're trying to change is on a protected sheet. You must enter the password, which of course I'm not giving you because we don't want you to be able to make changes to this. The next tab you're going to is the Macro Code tab. Now the Macro Code is actually the Hormone Macro Code Carb Tolerance Profile. And it also has the protection in it so that you can't accidentally change. Now this is great for Excel users. This is not so great for Google Sheets users because the protections that Excel allows do not transfer to Google Sheets. So you have a question. What is your waist measurement at the smallest part of your waist, 2 to 3 inches above the navel? You're going to answer the following question by selecting the proper answer under the options, and then each answer has a point value. So you're going to take that point value and you're going to enter it in the answer box. If your waist is over 35 inches, you answer with 5 points. Where do you tend to gain weight? I tend to gain weight evenly throughout my body, etc., etc. And you keep going, and you're going to answer all of the questions. Down at the bottom, you get your result. The total points of all your answers. It is automatically calculated. And you can't accidentally put an answer in that cell. Once you have your answer, you're going to look at your results. 0 to 8 points, you have a high carb tolerance. That means you can eat carbs. 10 to 18 points, you have a moderate carb tolerance. That means you need to be a little bit more careful of your carb intake. 18 to 26 points, you have a low carb tolerance. And over 27 points, you have a very low carb tolerance, which means you should not go over your carb intake. Your calories, especially during the cleanse. So during the cleanse, you want to stay more in the 80-gram range. And down at the bottom, Lydia is going to talk more about this, but if you were a type 1, you would follow this plan where you will divide the remaining calories after your protein. 45% will be carbs, 25% will be fat. We'll come down here and look at excuse me, type 4, fat-fueled hormone macro code. Your carbs are only 17.5% of your calories, and your fats are 55%. If you're menopausal, your carbs should be at 27% and your fats at 38%. That is all you need for the cleanse. Those 3 tabs, that is it. But I'm going to talk about the other 2 tabs because you're going to need them after the cleanse. The next tab says TDEE, if above 25% BF, which means if above 25% body fat. If your body fat is above 25%, you're going to definitely focus on this tab. Let me get my numbers erased. Here we go. And so you're going to enter in your ideal weight, 165, height in inches, and your age in years. Your basal metabolic rate, that is the rate, the amount of calories your body burns just to exist, to breathe, to pump your heart, to think. You need at minimum 1399 in calories, 1,399 calories. If you go below that, you're going to feel sluggish and not have energy to do what you need to do. Now next you have maintenance calories. Maintenance calories means that you are not going to lose any weight. So if you're sedentary with little to no activity, you're going to take in 1,609 calories, and you will not lose or gain any weight. If you have 1 to 3 hours of activity a week, you will take in 1,819 calories if you are going to not lose any weight or gain any weight. But we want to lose fat and gain muscle. So if you're light activity, that's 1 to 3 hours of activity a week, your daily calories is going to be 1445. Your protein grams, this is where it's fine-tuned. The math has been done. Your exact optimal protein amount is 135 grams. And then if you're not focused on the carb tolerance, your carbs, you should take in 119 grams and 49 grams of fat. If you find that that's not working, then you definitely need to focus more on the carb tolerance amounts. The moderate activity is where you get 4 to 6 hours of activity a week, and notice that your amount of calories goes up. It goes up because you have to burn more calories to create those muscles, because you're working out. And then if you have heavy activity, you can eat 1,903 calories and still lose weight. Let me correct that, lose fat, because it's not weight. First of all, muscle is not heavier than fat. Weight is weight. 1 pound is 1 pound. It's just 1 pound of muscle is denser than 1 pound of fat. 1 pound of muscle can look like a baseball, and 1 pound of fat can look like 3 bags of cotton balls. And you see how much more cotton balls it takes to equal 1 pound. So that's the way fat and muscle works. So stop saying muscle weighs more than fat. It does not. But if you lose 10 pounds of fat and you gain 10 pounds of muscle, the scale will not show any change. Now, if you want to go for aggressive cut, very fast fat loss, you would then follow these guidelines. Your calories, find out what your activity level is. Notice protein stays the same. Your protein is your protein is your protein. Your grams of carbs and fat grams all change. And that is how you use the TDEE calculator. Remember, that stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure. Now, if you are under 25% body fat, you can be zeroed in even more. You enter in your weight, and this tells you that you have 135 grams of protein, say that stays the same, 297 grams of carbs, and 83 grams of fat. Your carbs goes up because at under 25% body fat, you've got more muscle, and you need carbs to fuel your body. So this is how to use the Hormone Macro Code Calculator.